one stock that is set to skyrocket. It is a nuclear technology company. They make nuclear power plants. Well, they expect to. The company is Oklo, Oklo. It is Sam Altman backed. It merged with a special purpose acquisition company, a SPAC, with Sam Altman as the sponsor, and that was for $300 million that flowed into Oklo upon that transaction. Since then, it's up 90% in September alone, retracing about 30%. Is this the opportunity, if the stock goes sideways, to get in before another euphoric run? Or is this nuclear euphoria pure speculation? Hit that like button if you like this type of content.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
So here's the chart. I mean, this is the 90%. And then since then, we've come back 40% or whatever you want to call it, $30. So here's the challenge. It does look like it's holding here. So if it establishes a level, you get a really nice low risk entry, especially as this moving average catches up. People are going to see this moving average, including funds, algos. Some algos probably use moving averages to trade, take positions. And we're talking about big algos like Citadel and the like, 2 Sigma, whatever. Jane Street. So if they're not too busy in India or whatever, if you can get into this, risk a few dollars, you could make 10, 20, 30 if we have another big move. So now the question is, before we jump into too much technical analysis, there's the $10 SPAC level that we've far exceeded at this point, and that's probably why Chamath's getting stoked about the SPACs again. Here is the question. Yeah, it was founded in 2013. We see that on a 20-year chart, I guess. I guess we don't see that because it wasn't even publicly listed. That wouldn't make any sense. So that is promising, though, given that nuclear can take 5 to 10 years just to start to get built. This is when we started to see the price action. This merger with Sam Altman, and then it got on everyone's radar, and there's the $300 million in money that flows into Oklo's corporate bank accounts. I got to believe pretty much as soon as that happens. And they're going to need that if they're going to build a power plant. So there are some insane price targets. I mean, Goldman Sachs, but even still, some of their price targets, they're fallible. So neutral isn't great, but yeah, look, it costs a lot to operate a nuclear power plant, and it's high risk to own it and operate. So they got some downgrades as well, but the price targets are still above current prices. So, that's positive. Here's some other recent challenges. They did get the Department of Energy selection under this pilot program. So that's big. That doesn't necessarily mean that those plants are going to get built out, but it is sort of under Trump's wing at this point. This letter of intent is good as well, but it's just a letter of intent, probably non-binding. And 20 years is a lot. Like, see, we're investing in, a few week to month to maybe over a year time period. So this is almost completely superfluous information. This is also relevant. Sam Altman is no longer chairman. If there is some type of agreement, though, that does give the opportunity for a big spike in price if there's some type of deal. And we saw a spike in price when there was this NVIDIA investment in Intel, and then there was a little spike in price in NVIDIA as well when NVIDIA invested in OpenAI. But these are massive companies. Intel's a massive company, even though it was incredibly beaten down in price. So with a small little former SPAC like Oklo, D-SPAC, this company can absolutely rocket. I mean, because the dollar volume is a lot. 50 million times 100 is a lot. It's over $1 billion, but still, there's a lot of companies that trade over 1 billion shares that are equally fledgling. open comes to mind. Could there be some type of government stake, like Lithium America, where the government took a stake in this rare earth mining for independence from China? There could be. Nuclear is a national security interest, even though it's also, well, not even though, I mean, LLMs are a national security interest as well, in terms of technology supremacy. Even that seems insane to say, because we're using ChatGPT half the time to look up, pop culture news or whatever, but in terms of usage by query or whatever. But right now, all we're trying to say is Oklo worth buying given all this long-term speculation? And look, I mean, they are breaking ground and actually trying to build these reactors. So they're going to pilot. They're going to get 3 reactors, it sounds like, in the ground and, operational enough to be a proof of concept by July of next year. So that's pretty soon. They are also working with a Swedish company, small modular reactor company. So that helps to have, another first world technology leader company supporting it. That's not China. And besides those price targets, which are above the current price but are, neutral or downgrades, there are other major factors as well. Just delays are going to be a problem. I mean, no one wants this in their backyard, right? Literally. So that's going to be a challenge for sure. But part of the whole $500 billion Stargate agreement was that the government would help with this permitting. So Oklo also has that Sam Altman blessing. And if OpenAI has a valuation of $500 billion, to think that they couldn't throw, a few billion if they're spending $40 billion on Oracle servers. Well, Oracle's buying NVIDIA servers and then leasing them to OpenAI, but same difference. That they couldn't also spend $40 billion on power for those servers. So that's all encompassed in the $500 billion valuation, and the $40 billion or something that they're currently burning, expected to come up to $100 billion or more. Don't quote me on those exact numbers, but they're spending way more than they're making right now. I'm talking about ChatGPT. But that's all in the cards. So this is all completely normal, even though it sounds insane and compared to, net profitable companies. So this euphoria could actually be warranted. The stock could go sideways and we could have another rocket ship move to the upside. The competitors haven't really moved. SMR and NNE, namely. I mean, they've sort of just been barely following the market. I can't really even say that this is following the market when we're talking about a $20 stock, but it did come down and then bounced on tariffs. So NNE has been the laggard for a while, and Oaklo, with that Sam Altman name brand connection, has been the most euphoric. So we'll see what happens with the next administration, but all we're really worried about is the next few months to maybe over a year. And this is the question, right? And that pilot project is definitely promising. And in Virginia, data centers are taking 25 of the state's electricity. That was a couple years ago, which is insane. That same sort of power that's used for one data center can power about 1 million homes. So they actually want, nuclear power to just make sure they have enough power for their own residents. So this is kind of the area we're talking about, the southeastern U.S. We're also seeing a company highlighted earlier, EME, building out the facilities, building out these data centers. They're headquartered in the southeastern U.S. as well. And then there's these initiatives with Secretary of Energy to make these data centers happen, and then a partnership with Google as well, deployed by 2030. This is 5 years away, but also, Google has an interest in this as well. So there's a lot of big companies that are involved in making this a reality. Microsoft as well. This is the 3 Mile Island. That was a big purchase, and they actually purchase that land and that facility, and it's going to actually operate in 3 years. So no one thought this would happen. This was thought to be like a Chernobyl situation in terms of like it being a relic, but it's all happening. Like, this is absolutely unprecedented. there's even more sort of burgeoning projects, opportunities. This is near Washington, near Seattle, where Microsoft was headquartered. That's just in a few years. And then also in Michigan. So $150 billion Department of Energy grant and a $300 million grant. So from the state. So it's all happening. It's all real. We know it costs a lot. We know people don't like nuclear. We know there's regulatory challenges. We know there's environmental challenges. But with all that said, big tech is still in bed with the White House, and this is a Sam Altman company, and Sam Altman is basically the figurehead of 2025. So if you like these sort of ideas, if you like this sort of analysis, head over to stockscommunity.com. You can try it out for 7 days for $25. Ask any questions you want, and if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, hit that, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.